DBS community, welcome back to another video here with Kyle Chris, and today we're going to be going over the state of yellow going into the Ultimate Squad format. So make sure you guys like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications as normal. Let me know if you guys are excited about playing something particular in yellow and what that is if you are interested at all in playing yellow. Now, we are going to start this off with the tail of the tape, aka the tier of the field, and going over what I'm thinking yellow is kind of looking like going into the next set. And we see here at the top, we have the most represented deck, which is probably going to be Trunks and Vegeta, or Trunks Vegeta, or whatever the heck you want to call it. It is by far the most balanced yellow deck I think we've had since I think yellow's been good, right? We started with Mecha Frieza, or Reboot Mecha Frieza, I should say, and that deck, obviously, we know, was a little ridiculous, right? It was very, very ridiculous. Not a deck that a lot of people wanted to play against. Very difficult to play against. And then that turned into Icarus, which was, I think, not as good. I don't think Icarus was nearly as good as Mecha Frieza. I think what made Icarus very good is the fact that it was incredibly difficult to kill. Kind of fits in that Soul Striker type of atmosphere, right? Where Soul Striker was mainly good, not because there was really good mechanics or anything else like that, it just was very difficult to kill, right? And having a ton of resources is definitely a very good thing to have in this game. It makes it very difficult to deal with, and I think that's kind of what we were going through with Icarus. Now we get to Trunks Vegeta. Deck is very fair. We'll talk about it a little more there when we get into the deck itself. So the gatekeeper right now for yellow is definitely going to be Sin Shinron, and Sin just does a great job. It's been alive now for over 2 years. It doesn't really need much new stuff going for it. It's just going to run like a well-oiled machine, and especially since aggro is not going to be a thing anymore, at least not as well, or not as prominent, I should say. This deck is definitely going to do a lot of work. Once you get to turn 6, this deck is probably the hardest deck in the game to kill, and it's going to continue to do that. Up and coming, we have the Super Saiyan Son Goku Unison deck. Unison Coup, there's some other names for it. And then we have Piccolo, the probably the first Nomekian leader that we've gotten that actually plays like Nomekian stuff in quite some time. We had King Piccolo, we've had Lord Slug. Neither one of them were really Nomekian decks. This is the first one we actually get for Piccolo. Very, very exciting about that. And we have a lot of rogue decks that could possibly see their way into the meta. Decks like Hellku, Super 17, Goku Black Wish, Whis, and Set 1 Frieza have all been played or potentially could be played depending on how the format sort of shapes up. Now, we're going to the first deck here at the top, which is, of course, Trunks Vegeta, mid-range Trunks Vegeta, and this deck is very suitable for, I think, anyone playing yellow, and tons of draw power, a built-in double strike, barrier removal, a very, probably the best 1-2 combo when it comes to counterplays, which is the Steadfast Assistance or Steadfast Ally, whatever the heck the card's called, Goku counterplay, as well as Mecha Frieza being probably the best one-drop floodgate in the game. Now this deck is going to be getting another card, which is going to be a counterplay Goku, or I think the counterattack Goku, which is going to be very helpful for the deck. Probably will replace one of something in this deck, and deck's probably going to run just as well as it does right now. It's very reliable. Probably one of the most reliable decks in the game, and definitely going to see probably see itself still at the top of yellow going into the next format. As well as that, we also have Control Sin, and Sin definitely is going to see a lot of play. There's 2 different forms of Sin that you could see. There's a more control style, which really focuses on playing the 9 dropout to control your opponent's board, getting the 6 energy, and then just start spamming the board until you just kind of out-resource your opponent. The other one is sort of an aggro style. I believe the Hill Twins have kind of maybe perfected that deck from what I've seen. I'm sure other people have played it as well, but that deck is definitely a much more difficult version to, I think, pilot. Probably to pilot, but also it varies, right? I think the controlled deck is definitely more consistent, but that's just me. I think they're both very, very good. Both are going to see play. Both are going to be very irritating to deal with. Now that brings us to our up-and-coming decks, and like I said, we have the Super Saiyan Son Goku and the Piccolo decks. Very cool. Both of these decks coming out of the new format. Now, first one's going to be the Unison Coup deck, which is essentially a deck reprised of mainly Unisons, right? You have a ton of these Unisons, none of which really have combo power, which kind of sucks. It's kind of like a bad version of the cooler deck that's coming out. But the deck does have a lot of power in a lot of these Unisons. And the idea is basically Unison spam. You play a Unison, you do something else. That Unison has an effect when it leaves the field. The other Unison comes in, and you just kind of empower until you get up to playing your boss monster, which is the 3-drop Gohan Unison, which then you can translate that into a Dragon Fist, translate that into, you know, some more advantage into going into your win con turn. Deck could be potentially good. I don't think we've actually seen all the TP promos, to my knowledge. Maybe we have. It just seems like with the last few sets, we've had a lot of extra TPs. And this set, there wasn't so many, at least from what we've seen so far. So maybe there's other ones that they haven't actually announced yet. But so far, it doesn't look like this is getting too much support. I know there's like a Chaozu. I don't think it's actually going to be played that much. But who knows? I don't think this deck's going to be much more than a fun deck. At probably your locals and people making some meme videos, maybe some local like tournament runs with this deck. It's probably about the length of this deck's competitive career. Next deck is going to be the Piccolo Nomekian deck, and this deck is very interesting. I do think this deck will probably be piloted by someone topping. I can definitely see it. There's 3 forms of this deck, and I don't know which one is going to be the most playable. To me, the more yellow build, as you see here, is probably the best version of the deck. While there is kind of a mixed one where you play, green and yellow. While there's also, I've seen a completely almost green list that runs the Vegito Unison as well as Charismatic Villain, Fusamasu, Xenosin, things like that. I think that's also a possibility as well. I think that's going to take someone who's very creative, and it's definitely something that I could see potentially working. But yellow seems to be, I think, the most consistent, the least gimmicky type of deck, as you see here, and I think this deck is actually going to find its way into the meta and battle Trunks Vegeta for that top spot in yellow. Now, 2 cards that are coming out of the new set that are probably the chase cards of the color. We have Super Saiyan 2 Son Gohan, Z Fighter, and Super Saiyan Son Goku Final Sacrifice. Obviously, these are 2 of the SPRs in the set, so of course they're going to be good, right? Not always the case, but in this case, it is going to be. The Gohan is a 3-drop Unison and Power 3 and Blocker. If this card has 4 bar markers when it's played, choose up to X amount of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode ignoring barrier, where X equals to the number of yellow Unisons in your drop area and KO them. Very powerful. Then you have a +1, draw 1, very good. -3, choose one of your leaders in this card and choose one of your leaders. This card and the chosen card gets 5k until the end of your opponent's next turn, and this card gets triple attack, so making this a 25k triple attack blocker. Very powerful effect, right? This card is going to be played in a lot of decks and potentially will be a replacement for the Trunks Unison that's currently going around in like Trunks Vegeta. Second one is going to be the Son Goku Final Sacrifice counterattack. Negate the attack, play this card in rest mode permanent. If you have a yellow Unison in play, reduce the energy cost of the card in your hand by 2, so it becomes a 1 cost 15k negate. Spirit Boost. When this card place this card in the owner's drop area, when this card is played, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards to the rest mode. Additionally, if the chosen card is 5 energy cost of 5 or less, KO it, then draw a card. Essentially, you can play this, negate the attack, tap something else, and then if it's 5 or less, you get to KO it and draw a card. It's an incredibly powerful card. It's not limited, and there's going to be some particular decks like Helku, which are going to be able to really thrive off of using this card because this is not once per turn, so you can just continuously keep spirit boosting, and it's a very incredibly powerful effect. I don't know why Bandai keeps printing these incredibly ridiculous effects on yellow cards, but it's happening. So this is gonna be a card to look out for. If you open it in one of your boxes and you're not playing yellow, definitely hold on to it. This card is for one, the art is going to be pretty good, I feel like, in person. But two, it's going to be a chase card. People are going to want it. Eventually, the card will probably get limited to one, more than likely. And then two cards that I think you guys should look out for if you guys are going to be playing yellow is a Piccolo Simulated Ability and Android 18 Defender of Heroes. These are two older cards, Piccolo being the older one, coming out of the Dragon Brawl draft box, which was, I would say, probably the most sought after product in Dragon Ball for a while. At one point, this card was like $6. Then it shot up to about $100 a card. And it has yet to see a reprint. I feel like it's probably going to get a reprint in this next set. It just makes the most sense with Namekians finally being a thing. This card's probably going to get reprinted. So don't go out and buy a ton of them if you can't get them for a very good price. But this card is probably going to get reprinted, and when it does, hopefully it's going to be playable for you guys. It's a 20k barrier. Activate battle. Bond 2 just means you need to have one other battle card on the field. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards. Energy costs 5 or less. KO it. If you KO a card, draw a card. This card is very difficult to remove. Definitely goes very well into the Piccolo Nomekian deck because you can play it off of one of the 1-drops, one of the 1-drops, and pairs very well with Slug, right? Slug also needs a bond too. You can also have Poutine in that deck, right? So you have 3 barrier cards that can't really be removed and that basically stop your opponent from being able to do anything. Slug stops you from drawing, Piccolo kills anything 5 or less, draws you a card, and then Poutine taps anything that you play using a skill. So it's very, very difficult to deal with stuff. I definitely think this is going to be a card people are going to have to look out for. And then Android 18 Defender of Heroes. This is a 1-drop Unison that can be played in the new Unison Coup deck. But auto, when this card has a marker removed using a Spirit Boost effect, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and tap it. This is very cool because you can now, essentially you can Spirit Boost, tap something with the Goku counterplay, kill it, and then use this to tap something else. So you can stop 2 attacks for 1 energy, and that's very, very powerful. This also is a +2, which means you get to shape the top 3 cards of your deck, or scry, or whatever it is you want to call it, brainstorm, and you look at the top 3 cards, you put them back in any order. This allows you to draw the card that you want to, and then put the other cards at the bottom. And then -2 is you draw 3 cards, and then choose 2 cards and put them on the top of your deck. This allows you to kind of cycle things that you possibly want, but also just having a +2 Unison pairs very well with the Gohan Unison. You can put this card in play. It's going to be very hard to remove, and then you can just empower into the Gohan Unison, and then you're good to go. You also can go into the Mirror Unison, the Mirror Secret Rare, and have a very powerful Secret Rare on turn 4 with probably, 7 or 8 markers, right? So these are definitely 2 cards you should probably look out for if you're going to be playing yellow. Definitely something to look into investing if you're wanting to play these colors. That's what I got for you guys today. Pretty short and simple here. I think yellow is going to be a widely represented color. I think we're going to see a lot of Sin, a lot of Trunks, but I think we're going to see a lot of people experiment with Piccolo, and I hope Piccolo does well. I would love to see that deck played. As much as I hate Lord Slug as a card, I think the Piccolo deck will probably be the deck that we're going to look out for, potentially being one of the best, if not the best, yellow deck in the format. So thank you guys again for watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.